Hello everybody. In today's video I'm going to do something new. We're going to make homemade pasta together, and I'm going to make it into a really yummy pasta dish. So to start, we're going to make the dough for the pasta. I wrote my recipe down. So I had considered making this with the stand mixer, but I think I'm going to try it by hand. If it doesn't work, we'll use the hand mixer. So we need 3 cups of flour. I'm going to pour it right on the counter here. I've been wanting to learn how to make homemade pasta for a long time, so we're gonna attempt it today. If you hear bubbling in the background, I am canning stuff in my pressure canner. Okay, so it says in the instructions to make a little well. That's what we're gonna do. Ooh, almost dropped my lid. Fork here. Okay, so we need 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to pour that right in here like this, just so it incorporates into everything. We need 4 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just going to put it in the bottom of the well just so it mixes really nicely with the eggs. I actually bought a pasta maker, like it rolls out the pasta. I bought one last year and I still haven't used it, so it's time to figure this recipe out. So now we just crack the eggs in the middle. This one was already broken and I didn't even know it. Okay, so in the recipe it says to break up the eggs and kind of scramble them a little bit here. Just like that, and then slowly incorporate some of the flour at the same time from the sides. Our well is breaking here. And then just keep making it into a paste, and you keep doing this until it turns into a ball. Oh, our well is breaking. Probably should have made the well a little bigger. I think I'm going to use my hands here. Okay, it says I need 4 tablespoons of water. Okay. And then we just keep mixing it until it turns into a ball. Seems a bit dry to me. I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm going to do the kneading portion of this in the mixer. I think it'll knead it a lot nicer and firmer, so it's nice and pliable. So I'm going to get my mixer. Okay, so I'm just going to put the top of my mixing tool on here. This is the dough hook. I'm just going to take all of this and put it in here. Okay, and then I'm just going to turn it on and we're going to knead it for about 5 minutes. So I'm just mixing it here. It's a little bit wet, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour to it. This needs to mix so it softens up the gluten, and it'll take about 5 minutes total, and then it needs to rest for 30 minutes after that. Okay, so this has been mixing for quite a while now. I've adjusted it a couple times. So let's check it here. Let's pull it off. So it says now that this has been mixing for 5 minutes that we need to let it rest for about 30 minutes before we start shaping it into the pasta that we want. So I'm going to leave it in the bottom of the bowl here, and I'll show you again in 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, so we're going to start rolling out the dough here. Just going to pour some flour on the counter. Take the dough. Nice and pliable. Yeah, it's nice. Okay, so I'm just going to cut some pieces off here. We got to roll this out to be the thickness to fit in the machine here. Okay. So let's roll this flat. Okay, let's leave it like that. Now let me try setting this up. How am I going to do this? Let's try this. It's nice and strong. Get my little attachment here. I got flour all over it. Okay, now we're going to stick this through. Let me see which way does this go. Oh, I think it comes out this way. I'll show you a little closer look. Okay, so let's try this. See how well this works. I have it set to a wider thickness. In the recipe it says to start wider. There we go. And then it says to fold it and put it through again. Okay. Let's try going a little bit thinner. Oh, it seems to be ripping. I think I'm going to cut this in half. I think this might be too much on here. Maybe I'm supposed to go this way. Let's try this way. Oh, no. Definitely not the right way. Ooh, it keeps ripping in the middle. Wonder why. Weird. Through a lot of trial and error, I realized that the ripping was caused by the dough being too thick. At first, I thought it was moisture or not enough flour, but no, it ended up being too thick. So you got to roll it out a bit more before you put it through the machine. Okay, let's try again. Hopefully we get it this time. There we go. Yep. So make sure your dough isn't too sticky. See, it comes out perfectly. Oh, it's a little too sticky. Let's add some flour to this. Yeah, see, it's stuck right here in the machine a little bit. So let's use this piece again. We'll just add a lot of flour to it. This was a very time-consuming process, but I would do it again, and it was well worth the end result. I highly recommend making your own pasta. Okay, so I'm just going to put the attachment on. Okay, let's turn this into fettuccine. Just gonna flour the dough a little bit more. Some of it has rehydrated and got a little sticky. So this attachment that I just put on does spaghetti and fettuccine. I do have other attachments. Okay. Oh, that's cool. And there's the fettuccine noodles. Just put them in some flour here. Okay, I'll give you a closer look at me doing it. Okay, so I actually pulled out a cutting board over here to hang my pasta on until we're done. I actually do not have a pasta hanger, so this is how we're going to do it. So we're just going to put it through. Very squeaky, I'm sorry. And all the fettuccine's coming out the bottom. There we go. So I'm just going to flour these a little bit, just so they don't stick together. And then I'm just going to hang them on my board here. And then we'll just repeat this until we're done. I would love to oil this, but I don't know if that would affect the food. My handle came off. Fettuccine. This is actually working out a lot easier than I expected. Once I figured out why it was ripping, it's actually easier than I thought it was going to be. So that's good. Learning new skills. Okay, let's put this one in. Oop. There we go. All the fettuccine. So I will finish making the rest of the pasta, and then I will come back once we get ready to make the pasta dish. Okay, so this is all the pasta. I have it hanging on my cutting board here so they don't stick together. So let's start a boiling pot of water and start making the pasta dish. So I'm just going to add some salt to the water here. We want to have seasoning in the water for the pasta. Now we're going to let this boil, and then we're going to stick the pasta in, and we're going to start the other portion of the sauce for the pasta while this is boiling. I'm going to start with sauteing some bacon. My bacon's frozen. I always freeze it and then cut it however many chunks I need off of it. So we're going to start with that. Let that crisp up a little bit. Okay, so our water is boiling. Let's see how well I can do this. So we're going to put our pasta in. We only need to cook this for about 5 minutes. I'm just trying to separate them as I'm dropping them in the water so they don't stick together. Yep, I got one on my burner here. There we go. Dropped a couple on the floor I gotta throw out. Nope, just about burnt my bacon. Okay, now that the bacon's a little bit crisp, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. We're gonna add some onion. This sauce is one of the best pasta sauces I've ever tried. There, that'll help cool down the pan too. This is my frozen pre-cut onions I like to have. Okay, we're going to add about 3 cloves of garlic. Oop, that's way more than 3. I'm going to take some of that out. That's a lot. Okay, that's good. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of basil. About half a teaspoon of dry mustard. About half a teaspoon of oregano. And about half a teaspoon of red chilies. I don't add quite as much just because we don't like too spicy. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Probably going to add more later. Oh. Turn that down. A little bit of salt. About half a teaspoon of onion powder. Okay, now we're going to mix this. Let the spices kind of simmer with the bacon and the onion and the garlic. Okay, then we need about 2 tablespoons of butter. Two to 3. Okay, we're going to let that simmer for a couple minutes. Make sure the onion's cooked. Okay, I'm going to add a tiny bit of flour just to help thicken the sauce a little bit. Just going to mix it right in. Okay. Okay, so this recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, but I like a little bit more tomatoey, so I'm going to add probably 2 or 3. I find it gives it more flavor. Okay. We're going to add about 3 tablespoons of cream cheese. Mine's frozen, so it's a little bit, needs to melt. I'm going to cook all this together. Let that melt for a sec. Okay, so I just drained the noodles. I didn't want them to overcook. So now we need to add about 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. It'll help this all melt too. I might actually add just a little bit more. There we go. And about 1 to 1.5 cups of heavy cream. You can use half and half as well. And that's all that's in this sauce. You just let it cook together here, and then we're going to add the pasta. Let this thicken a tiny, tiny bit. Get all the bits off the bottom. Oh, I forgot one thing. Parmesan cheese. About 1/3 of a cup. If you want a little more, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. Okay, I'm just going to let this simmer for a minute and let it thicken, and then we're going to add the pasta. Let's add the pasta. This is the cooked pasta. And just mix it into the sauce. Make sure all the noodles are covered. And there we go. There's the finished product. I'm going to shut that off. And I'll dish some up and show you what it looks like. Here's a look of it all dished up. All the bacon and onion and the seasonings. Looks gorgeous. And it tastes delicious, I promise. Highly recommend making it. And the pasta turned out great. Let's taste it. So I just tasted this, and the pasta is cooked perfectly. So about 5 minutes or until it floats. Very good. So this is where I'm going to end the video today. I hope you enjoyed making pasta with me and learning a new skill. And I'll see you next time. Bye.